job now. You are the cause of our anxiety.
Order. I call the honourable member for Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Well, yesterday's IPCC report confirms one thing, and that is the importance of a coordinated global effort to reduce emissions. The report bluntly provided an update on the latest physical science on climate change and the likely trajectory of global warming. There are many challenges, and overcoming these challenges is a shared responsibility. Australia is doing its bit. We have a strong 2030 target, and we are going to beat it. This is in contrast to many other nations, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This government is committed to the Paris Agreement and its goals. I want to see Australia achieving net zero emissions as soon as possible, and I also want to see it done before 2050. We had a target for emissions in 2020, and we beat the target by 459 million tonnes. We are now on track to beat our 2030 Paris emissions target as well. As a nation, between 2005 and 2019, our emissions fell faster than many comparable countries, including Canada, New Zealand, Japan, Korea, and the United States. Unfortunately, more than half of G20 nations saw their emissions rise. Meanwhile, Labor has walked away from their 2030 target. They have walked away from the Paris Agreement. The opposition has no plan, no policies, and no idea. That is clear. We have practical plans. They have nothing. Last week, we saw Labor's Senate team vote against the technology investment roadmap. They voted against technology. We all know Labor is dying to add a big fat tax to every Australian's weekly bill. Of course, if it's not technology, it's taxes. In sharp contrast, this government is backing the next generation of technology that will deliver lower emissions, lower costs, and create more jobs to Australians. We are backing Australian ingenuity and innovation, not taxing Australians more. This government is delivering lower emissions by investing $20 billion in new energy technology by 2030, driving $80 billion of total public and private investment over the decade. We plan to support 160,000 new jobs. The way the Morrison government is doing it is by reducing emissions without destroying jobs, taxing hard-working Australians, or adding any new costs on households, businesses and industry. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm so proud to be part of a government that has achieved so much on this issue. Our record is one of delivery. We beat our Kyoto-era targets by 459 million tonnes. We are going to beat our Paris targets too. Latest data shows our emissions are 20% lower than 2005 level. Emissions are lower than in any year under the previous Labor government. What a disappointing record by those opposite. In 2020, a record 7 gigawatts of new renewable energy capacity was installed in Australia. That's more renewables in 1 year under the Morrison government than under the whole period of the previous Labor government. Again, Mr. Deputy Speaker, what a disappointing record. When it comes to emissions reduction, our record is one of delivery and achievement that Australians can be proud of. For example, as a nation, we now have the highest solar PV capacity installed per person in the world. The Morrison government's technology-led approach to reducing emissions will see Australia continue to play its part in the global effort to combat climate change without compromising our economy or jobs. We deliver when it comes to emissions reduction. Labor just taxes hard-working Australians.
Thank you.